Yo guys, I'm Yellow, the Norwegian hardcore PC gamer, and today we're gonna talk about tilting because I wanted to make this video for over 2 weeks now, but I've been lazy and forgetting about it. So let's talk about a couple of things with tilting, how to easily address some of the ways in which will stop you from tilting, aside from how to help yourself properly to never tilt ever, and that's also aside from a couple of tips therefore that you can also not just apply to yourself but your teammates if they tilt, in which will make your life better. Now this is going to come from a practice scenario, so that is obviously going to be a good kind of angle to start with. Now when you're practicing, depending on how bad you are, it's going to be very easy to learn a lot faster, in which will in return make you way better or way faster. However, that demands that you have a very high level of, willpower, I guess we can say, in general, so that you pick up the small details in the game that are going to make you better. This also allows you eventually to predict what could happen, and this is going to be critical because if you are able to get into the head of the enemy team, you can absolutely destroy them, and that is what we want to do also. But in order to get there, we need to be of stable mind and stable body. So let's focus on the body. You want to get proper sleep, and this has been said a million times, but it's something that you need to be addressed again. You want to eat food that have slow burning calories. If you can get that into your body and it's something you enjoy and you're eating just enough of it, not too much, not too little, your attention span is going to, on average, be better. And your mood is not going to get to that grumpy state some people get to because they are hungry and, they get grumpy. So those things are already going to help you out a bit. No soft drinks. Obviously, also, if you want to get way better, way faster, this is going to assist you in having longer practicing, like, hours, basically. So this is something people that take this game seriously definitely want to do. No sugary stuff, no soft drinks, of course, unless you're just looking out to have a good time. The other thing will be, obviously, sleep. And in a similar way, you got to make sure that you don't get too much sleep either, just like with how you don't want to eat too much. If you eat too much, you can get into a food coma, and the brain is being overloaded by the blood sugar levels that it has. It's kind of an obscure fact, but it's pretty much true, and some of us have experienced this. Knowing that, what that means is that we got to do the same with sleep. You don't want to get too much, you don't want to get too little. If you get into that area and you also wait about 30 minutes after you've woken up, your brain is going to be a little bit more ready towards getting proper focus going for itself, and therefore it will sharpen your intuition, your focus level will be more stable, and all in all, it's going to be a better practicing time for you. That is why these things in general are important to cover. Also, by the way, getting enough sleep makes you less grumpy, so these things are therefore going to give you some of the better conditions anyways towards just practicing and getting good at the game, or learning way faster. Now, I think it's better to focus on and swap our focus rather over to the mental game, which is also going to be important, and this also will assist us in getting better in terms of not tilting ourselves or understanding what makes up somebody that might tilt. Obviously, we most likely should focus on your willpower in general. It might sound weird, but like your way, or rather the way in which you have self-control is going to be very important here, because the more self-control you have, the easier it's going to be for you to force yourself to do certain things, because you know that you have to, and you know that it's going to be better for you, and it's going to give you something that is going to be more useful rather than just wasting your time. Knowing that, also, by the way, if you have that ability and you know you're good at that, the rest of this video is going to be kind of easy. But if it's not, you got to kind of think about that and give yourself a good reason for why you want to do stuff. If you have a good reason behind, it's going to be way easier to self-motivate yourself towards doing anything, which is going to be critical. And also, it's critical in learning, so there's that as well. However, now let's hit on the good stuff. So when you are practicing, what you want to understand is that us people, we have kind of like a split personality, all of us. Some people have no self-control, some people have a lot of self-control, but some people also have a lot of emotions, and some people have way less. I am every now and then all across the place. It really depends on food, mood, sleep, and time. But all in all, I am pretty good at having self-control, and I've seen this the most when I played the most. My aim become very crisp. I remember almost anything that happens in the game because I pay good attention, and I'm therefore able to even clutch without a sweat. I'm ice cold. It doesn't matter how good you are. I don't give a shit. I'm going to get my 20 kills minimum, and I will be good to go. Of course, that doesn't always happen, but I've played way too many thousand hours of FPS games. I probably played up to the level of some professionals, if not way more, so that should give people a decent understanding of to what depths I have, like, just gotten used to anything that could happen in any FPS game, and in return, it allowed me to become pretty much a brick when it comes down to stressful situations. But how do we get to that kind of point, and what can we focus on in order to enforce it? That is the interesting question here, especially to people that have not played literally over 10k hours of the FPS genre, which I, in fact, have. What you want to try and do is to understand what you are doing and having self-insight towards what you're doing at every single moment in time. It sounds kind of like dumb and autistic, but it actually works. Think about this. So when you're taking a step, when you were a kid, that was difficult. So you had to focus on it, and it was like, oh my god, what the hell am I doing? I can barely walk. I'm about to fall. Mommy, daddy, help. But when you're older, it's an autopilot. What you want to do is the same process, almost as if you're learning it for the first time ever when you're doing something completely different. In this scenario, it will be when you get mad, when you tilt, when you get overly just nervous, for example, in which you want to then hammer that scenario and situation until you have proper control of what is happening. You also want to completely focus on what have to be done and make that your primary focus, rather than thinking, oh my god, what if I fail? Because that is not a thought that should be in your head. It also doesn't assist. And if that trigger an emotion in you, that means that you are basically green. You are scrub, you don't know what you're doing, and you have more proper practice regarding your reaction that you need to get done. And so what that therefore means is that you just need to get into those kind of scenarios and be self-conscious towards how you're reacting more and more and more until you override it. Basically, it's similar to how you get into an awkward situation, or maybe you think it's awkward, even though it's not that awkward. Maybe like you sneezed and it was kind of like too loud and you don't want to be loud, so you feel awkward. You want to kind of get into that scenario, but you got to understand that it doesn't really matter. And so you kind of train yourself, you learn yourself to react in a different way. It's kind of sort of what is happening in military, if anybody have attended that as well. They try and break down the people that are going to be serving the military effectively in various different ways. And the way they do that is to put you into scenarios that are going to give you certain stimuli, and eventually you will adapt, because that is kind of like one of the crazy awesome things with us people, human beings. We are good at adapting. However, it takes learning and understanding often at a deeper level, aside from a lot of practice in some scenarios as well, until you can get properly adapted, especially emotionally, to some of these things. And so, therefore, that means that the more you tilt, the less you're going to tilt. If that sounds dumb, it is. If you don't know what you're doing. If you're not self-conscious, you're going to tilt forever. If you are self-conscious, you're eventually going to rage whip yourself into not tilting. You're just going to focus on running out and destroying the guy, and that is what you want to do. That's what I've done as well. Way back in the day, I was so mad at the game, at games in general, a lot of Call of Duty, a lot of raging, a lot of it. But eventually, as you learn, you adapt, you overcome, as that meme goes. And so now let's focus on some other things as well. And that is going to be about other people and how they react. How would I treat somebody else that are tilting? Most of the time, I don't have time to tell them all this. It would take 10 minutes and we gotta play. So what instead I would do is to give the people a reminder that, you know what? We want to get better. Getting better gives us a rank. How do we get a rank? It's the build-up of how many rounds we get and how many rounds we deny from the enemy team, and our average skill, and also how the Valve system is predicting our match to go. Depending on if we play better or worse than the prediction, we will get or lose elo points, all of us, and that in return means that we might or might not rank up or down. Knowing all of this, I'm just going to tell them that, you know what, just focus on the game, try and get better. We're trying to practice here. If not, I'm just going to block you. I would say this to anybody that tilt at all, and if they're obnoxious and shoot teammates, I'm gonna do this faster and ignore them faster and pretend they don't exist to motivate better behavior. And if they're the quiet type, which by the way in a team game are just as damaging and really annoying, I will probably do the same to them as well, because they aren't contributing unless they play the team game that is CSGO. Anyways, that is most likely what you want to do. A quick warning, just tell them, just focus on the game, you're just being annoying, you aren't helping, you aren't practicing even, and just give it a, give them up and just play your game. And it doesn't matter if you win or not, just practice a lot and you will be able to get to a better point than what you was before. Also keep in mind that all of us learn at different rates, by the way. So yeah, practice is the name of the game here. Thanks for watching. Here are 2 related videos, so if you want to get smarter or better at CSGO, support the channel just by subscribing or liking. That should be it, really, in these crazy algorithm YouTube days. Have a nice day, and don't get beastified when you play.